February 10th or 11th. It's been quite a crazy week. I was able to fix some of the little slats right here that were sticking up a little bit. They're not 100% perfect, but they're pretty good. They're good enough. I'm going to kind of mark the ones that I probably shouldn't depend too much on. Just make sure they're screwed, that they're fastened down to things that are definitely more secure around them. So that's how I'm going to work that. So let me give you a quick tip if you are going to be starting van life. Okay? Don't go telling your company, well, maybe not your company, but your coworkers and some of your superiors, though they may not be the ones who are entirely in charge of your future at your job, but don't go telling them you're leaving in a couple months, because when they look at budget cuts, they might be thinking, well, why would they not let go of the person who's going to leave in a couple months if somebody has to go? That is what happened with me. It hasn't really been a secret for most people that, you know, I've been working on this van. I drive it to work virtually every day. And people see it, and it's a little bit of a, you know, topic of discussion, to say the least. And they let me and another fella go because, and it makes sense, because when you think about it, if I'm leaving, if Lindsay and I are both leaving in mid-May, then I'd hate for them to let somebody else go, and then me just leave in a couple months anyway. So, you know, all things considered, it makes sense, and I get why they pulled the trigger on me. I just wish they had waited about 2 more months to kind of bridge the gap. I was just saying the other day how there's only so many weekends until mid-May until we go, and there's still a lot to be done. What I'll do is take a couple days instead and just really focus in on the van and just try to knock out as much as I can as far as the bed goes and everything, the rest of the flooring, without having to burn up weekends. So, you know, this could be an upside and a downside. Now I do have to think about money a lot more. You know, there is an end in sight whenever it comes to finances, or at least sure finances. This also comes to head at the same time where this house might be getting sold. So maybe all this stuff comes crashing out at the exact same time, and we need to find another place, while we also, and by another place, just somewhere to park our van, and we'll probably just sleep in our van. So that's why it's very important to get this van in a situation where it at least has a bed as soon as possible. I've been doing a lot of research on how I want to build the bed and how I want to be able to access it, things from the inside, and have hinges to where we can be inside without having to open up these doors, move our bedding, and actually look inside. Anyway, I feel confident that I can get the flooring done today, the majority of it. Don't go telling everybody. If you want to keep your job, just keep it on the down low, and then just suddenly leave, I guess. Give your 2 weeks like everybody, like you're supposed to do, and then leave. I don't know. I could have played it better, but honestly, I'm so excited about van life, it's hard not to talk about it, especially with the people that I'm around all the time. You know, if you're around these coworkers and they become your friends, and you go to lunch and they ask how's the van coming along, you can't just, well, I can't just, you know, lie about it. So it is what it is. It went through the routes what it did, and, you know, Sinclair's a big company, has TV broadcast stations across the nation, actually the largest company. So I'm kind of surprised that it actually needed to do cutbacks. I want to point this out, is that what I had one of the best media jobs in Chattanooga. No doubt about it. I really enjoyed what I did. Got to follow this host around doing all kinds of nutty, crazy things all over Chattanooga, and really got to experience and meet some cool people. It was going to be really hard to turn that down, to know that I'm leaving that and potentially getting ourselves into situations on the van, you know, out in van life where I'm going, you know, I can't believe I had such a solid rock that I was connected to, and we just gave it up to go get on the road. And, you know, obviously that does have its benefits too, but when you think about such a, you know, good insurance and decent pay and all that stuff, and just really cool events and getting paid for it, it was going to be really hard to reflect back on that and think about what I left. Now it's different because I'm forced out. So we're not only kind of getting forced out of our house right now that we've been renting, but I just got forced out of a job. So again, those two things kind of coming to head together might make the most sense of everything. But that's what's happening in life right now, and I feel like that's something that needs to be thought about before anybody else starts doing van life. Where you are in your life, at your job, are you growing? Is it something that's becoming, you know, more of a way of life? Is this something that you can afford to do, to take that step? Is it something you're willing to give up what you think is a good job? You know, there's so much to consider. So much. It was just like the Appalachian Trail. though I wasn't in a really good spot at that point. That's a big part of why we did the Appalachian Trail in 2012, was because we didn't find the jobs that we were thinking we were going to have by that point in our lives. I think I was 27 at that point. Lindsay was about to turn 23 or 24. And so we weren't there yet. But now I actually did have a job that was legit. Although I'm not meant for television. I want to do movies, films. That's what I want to do mini-series. I want to do things that can focus more around not so much fluff, but documentary style, interesting things. So I just want to take everybody along, you know, and I think I've reflected that really well in all the work that I did do for our company that I worked for. So I gave them everything I could. I complained a lot along the way, but that's just my nature. I complain. I think I inherited that from my dad, but I feel like I was a pretty good worker, and now this next phase of life seems to make a lot more sense than it ever has before. So without further ado, let's see if this weather will hold up and get these floors in. Okay, so this rain's really frustrating. It's on, then it's off, then it's on, then it's off. Honestly, I can handle a little bit of sprinkle doing this work, if not even a decent rain. The cameras cannot. So what do? Do you not do any work because it's raining, or do you keep going and just not worry about filming? I don't have an answer to that right now, but what I can say is that, as you see, I never finished this little piece right here that's going to be the hangover part. Well, what was originally there was a piece of wood that was screwed in. Screw hole. Another one way down here, another one over here. So what I'm realizing is, I'll just cut another one of these little slats and I'll actually screw it in instead of waiting for it to, you know, to use the adhesive and let it mend with it. So I'm going to cut a piece real quick from there to there, and I'm going to screw it into these holes. I'll just use the piece that used to be here, which is thicker, as you can see, to measure with. So honestly, I want it to be almost the exact same length, but about ½ an inch more, so that's how I'm going to mark it off. Sanding, I haven't been doing that all along, but I should have been. Yep. That's close to perfect. I mean, it's flush, 100%. Right here, 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 flush, 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 flush. Then there's a little lip right here, so I could either trim a little piece off of here, or I can just roll with a little bit of hangover. I think I am going to cut a little sliver off, and I might do that with my jigsaw. That is what needs to go. That little sliver. Eyeball looks good, but let's see how it actually looks. That is close. I think I can handle that. You can see that it, you know, goes in pretty good right there. A little odd, but, you know, it gets all this flush again. I'd rather be kind of flush here and inset a little bit than hangover, because if it hangs over, I think it'll weaken it more than it would if it's just missing a little gap whenever the angle iron type thing goes on. So I think this will work right here. I'm going to screw it in, and then we'll have that piece down and ready to go. I do need to countersink it, so I'm going to do that, since I have a countersinking drill bit.
We sit and we wait.
I want to make sure I get this stuff lined up pretty well. So let's find out if I can do this correctly. So before I go countersinking and potentially messing up that drill bit, in case I hit metal or something, I'd rather mess up one of these. I'm gonna go with the tiny one first. Little baby one.
So come on, babe, let's have a laugh the moon.
Pretty sure that's correct on all those. Yeah. So I'm going to countersink these.
In a stupor, all wild.
See if that works. I feel like it should.
What you say if I ask you to
That one's pretty doggone close.
watch for the ride?
This is going to be a hard one to figure out. Honestly, I should probably start on this side and then work my way to the ones that are more adjustable. Yep, that's what I'm doing, taking these out. That one's in there. Working in reverse now.
I'll have to leave, so
Good, good.
I will laugh the moon.
Alright, there it is. And I feel like it's going to do just the trick. Nice and countersinked. Feel good about that. Feel good about that. Okay, it's official. The slats are laid. These things are stuck to the ground, and I'm quite confident that these things will appropriately hold the floor in place. Where there's some weakness in others, there's strength in the remaining ones. I mean, a lot of this stuff is firm, firm, firm. So that's it. Next step is to take the insulation. Still have a lot left, and I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with all that yet. I was tempted to make a whole nother second layout and just double it up, because honestly, especially after you screw it from the wood on top down to the bottom, I mean, it's, you know, a millimeter thin. I really don't know how much that's going to do. It's going to do something, I'm sure. It just doesn't seem like it's all that much. So I would like to double it up, but I don't think it's going to happen. But what I'm just going to do is go with the layout. So after the Reflectix, after the insulation is laid down, and then I take my 3 pieces of flooring and I stack them all side by side, I'm going to take a straight line and I'm going to measure from the end of that wood all the way to ending is over here and pop a line on all these, so I know exactly where my spots will be. Now I've also marked out areas like this that tell me all the way this way, don't put any screws here to there, because how do I know I'm going into this one and not this one? I guess I could count them out, but honestly I have little X's on the side over there that tell me where to not drill in. Plenty of room outside of where these holes are. I will try to do a couple right here, a handful. It's not stuck as much as I want it to, but that'll work. As you see, same situation. I've got that lined up all the way down, so I'll pop a line from there to there. So that's safe. This is no good. Right here, in case you can't see it, whenever all the other wood gets in. Doesn't have to be perfect. Same situation. Don't even attempt in any of that area. But this is safe. It's time to start laying stuff in there, so maybe go into time-lapse mode for the time being or something. Oop, I'm gonna lose my pencil. There we go. That's what it looks like from upside down. That's the slats that are run right here that are attached to the ground, attached to the bed of the van. This is the insulation that's going to go in between. You can see here, it took me a time or two to get it right, but countersink these holes so that the screw isn't popping up. It's essentially what it's going to look like. So I'm realizing right now, whenever I put this in here just a minute ago, that's it. We're not going to see the floor anymore. The last time we're going to see the bed, well, God willing, is the last time that we're going to see the bed of this van. After this, it's all top layers. So this is in here. Looks good, feels good. It actually feels pretty flat in here. It's a good little cushion. And you know, the other thing, if I put too much insulation, then it might have that squish to it, which I prefer not to have. You know, it might feel almost like a little soft. But all this stuff seems to be lined up really well. Well, pretty well. Not gonna lie. There's a couple half inches here and there that could be a little bit better. There's still some carpet sticking out right here, but those are all things that I don't think are gonna be a problem whenever the wood and everything gets in here. See, this is probably where some more insulation should go. And honestly, I can access spots like that by removing that little panel with the tissue box thing that will actually be covered up. But that's where I could just start jamming a bunch of that other insulation just willy-nilly up in there. Now, as far as this side goes, I don't know what paneling I'd have to remove in order to get behind this wall, which sounds pretty hollow. I'll also need to take out these seat belts, but let's get this flooring in first and we'll go from there. Alright, it's time to start bringing in the wood, the actual flooring. Shit. Finally, man, you just don't understand how noisy it is without that stuff in here. It's just insane. It's just, you can, look, anytime you stop, you can hear the gas.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there was literally nothing between here and there except a little bit of metal. There it is, the floor. So here it is, the floor. Not everything is 100% precise, which is exactly what I figured it would be, but it looks good, it feels good, it'll be way less noisy, it'll be a little bit heavier. Something that I didn't do perfectly was this edge right here, but I will figure out a way to make up for that. Another thing I did not do perfectly was leave myself space on this end to actually see where the slats go. Like I said, you know, I want to pop a long straight line so I know where all my spots are that I should drill into. Well, I can't really see them on this end, and it seems like you could just lift this up and look at them and make the line, right? Well, wrong, because this is actually underneath this part just a little bit, up against the edge too much. I can't really lift it up, but I might be able to. That's what I'm going to try to do. One way or the other, I feel very confident that now I can just drill my holes, screw it down, and then we'll be a huge step closer. But you can see the van has changed so much. I'm just pretty happy right now. Pretty happy. I'm actually going to prop it up a little bit. I was able to do that. And put a little piece of tape right where the middle would be on the carpet next to it. So I'll line up where I can still see the wood all the way to the middle of this piece of tape and pop the line that way and hope that that's about as accurate as I can possibly get without messing anything up. So that is the current plan. You can see the tape that I put. Each one of those is where that wood comes out, so I'm going to pop a line from right there all the way to the other side where I see the slats. All the way down, and those will be my safe spots. Now, I didn't realize these seats went up like they did. I think that would have came in handy several times, especially when removing the carpet initially. But here we are, just figuring it out. It came in handy just a second ago, and oops. Alright, so the lines have been popped. I feel very confident that each one of those is straight and that they're exactly where they need to be. This part is also one of the more important parts to get right. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to divvy it up. I'll probably go in like a diagonal version of this. So I'll go like one here, 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 and on down like that would be my guess. You know what I'm going to do is go and pop a line for the spot that I know I can't do. So let me see if I can. Alright, so this is the big part. It's time to start countersinking and dropping some screws up in here. Due to whatever I tested yesterday, my little test with some of the spare pieces, it doesn't need to go all the way to the top of this countersink drill bit, but a little over halfway, and that should be enough for me to drill into it without the bottom of the screw hitting the bed of the van and lifting up the wood. It should be just about perfect. So I marked a bunch of X's. There's X's everywhere, and that's where I want to put all the screws. There's tons of them, but I'd rather it be secure and tons of screws than half the amount of screws and not nearly as secure. So I try to do a little zigzag action kind of every other one. I know it doesn't require just, you know, 100 per board, so I think this one's probably going to have about 20 to 25 in it all together. Let's do it. And I'll put in the description about the countersinking drill bit that I used. This seems to be working. All this stuff is nice and tight. Oh my God. You have no idea how relieved I am right now to know that this so far is feeling as good as I was hoping it would. Alright, went over to Ace, got some more screws, Some more number 8, or size 8, 1-inch screws. Yeah, 100 of them. So first I'm going to go ahead and put a bunch of X's where I want my screws to be, and then I'll go back around, screw them in. Damn it. Broke the tip. Wasn't really thinking, and I didn't back it up straight out. I was looking to see if it was going through. Well, I don't always mess up, but when I do, it's right before I'd be done with the job. Look at all these holes I made. All of them. Perfectly, man. This countersinking number 8 bit head, doing fantastic. I was checking to see if it actually went all the way through right here. And I was kind of looking down, and I just wasn't thinking whenever I was pulling it out. I kind of, I reversed the drill up a little bit, but it was too late. It snapped. I didn't straight up, straight down, straight down, straight up, whatever. Didn't do that. And so now I don't have a bit to do the rest of that one, 1, 2, and 3. That's it. Things like $10, which the price isn't really like the issue, but I'm gonna have to run back over to Ace before it closes. But so that it doesn't shift around on me, I'm gonna go ahead and screw that down, what I already have. Then I'll call it, go over to Ace, and then finish it up. Yeah. Oh yeah, I got a good bite on that one. That's awesome. Really, you know how well this is working whenever on these edges. I mean, it's one thing out here in the middle, it's kind of hard to tell if it pulls tight, but whenever you get to a certain point on these edges, and it bites and pulls it the rest of the way down, you know it worked. Of course, that one didn't do it as well. Normally I'd re-countersink it, because that's probably the issue, and maybe I will whenever, or no, I definitely will whenever I get back with the replacement, but for right now, do whatever it is. Not exactly sure what happened on this corner one. Alright, that side's gonna need some work. I see that now. In fact, a lot of this stuff is lifted pretty good. Back to Ace Hardware. Back to Ace Hardware. So Ace, go figure, did not have what I needed. I'm just gonna be careful now because this can easily penetrate too far. Then after that, I'll have to countersink, hopefully with the old bit, and then I'll be good to go. I'll probably still have to get another one tomorrow, but for right now, this will be a temporary solution to go ahead and fix the rest of this. That is what is happening. needs a little bit of weight. Can you see? Good. Yeah, that one's good. How's about this one? What I've been doing after every time I drill holes is vacuuming and sanding, so none of this stuff interferes with the eventual laminate floor that will be here. I'm gonna sand all this and vacuum it one more time, see if I can't get all this stuff as level as possible. You don't have to watch me do this. I'm just trying to hit all the holes and kinda, well, snap. I wonder if all these seams shouldn't have as many holes as possible. Yeah, it should. I'm gonna put a couple more holes, a couple more screws, try to get screw. Okay, so it's nighttime now. The leveling compound is not on. I did go back and drill a lot of things, put a lot more screws into spots that definitely could use it. I originally had these zigzagged, so like there. I immediately realized that was the wrong thing, so I went back and, as you can tell, doubled them up all the way. I did that on that seam down there too. You could see them pulling downward and leveling out, and that was a really good feeling to actually see it really level out. So I also went back, since I still had some screws left, after going to buy some more, and went ahead and finished up the front right here. So the front has them all too. So this thing is fastened down some kind of good. It's strong. It's good. It looks really good. Feels good.